Hare Krishna, thank you so much for coming. I'll just say some prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So, we have gathered here to hear about Srimad Bhagavatam. As you can see, there is a book here, Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is basically the essence of all the Vedas. And the purpose of understanding or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is so that we can connect with the Supreme Lord and build a relationship with Him. And Srimad Bhagavatam, if you see Srimad, Shri means goddess of fortune, that is Lakshmi Devi or Radharani. So Bhagavatam actually has the mercy of Srimati Radharani because it is Srimad, and also it is the potency of Krishna. Radharani is the potency of Krishna. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very powerful. It is so potent. It is called a Bhagavad Puran. You know, there are many Purans. So this is one of them. It is Bhagavad Puran. So it is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, those sound vibrations, they are so potent that they cleanse our heart. In the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the first canto, Srila Vyasadeva, who is an incarnation of Krishna. Did you know that? He's an incarnation of Krishna. And he is explaining the position of Krishna. Who is Krishna? Mostly people say Krishna is a powerful personality or is just a story. But Srila Vyasadeva, who is himself Krishna in his form as Vyasadeva, he is explaining the importance of understanding who is Krishna. So now, the knowledge that we receive, especially the spiritual knowledge that we are trying to get, there are actually three ways of receiving knowledge. One is Pratyaksha Praman, which means sensory experience. So whatever I experience with my senses, I believe that is knowledge. Another is Anuman Praman, where we come to conclusions or we make some guesswork, right? And the third one is Shabda Praman, which is the word of authority. Authority which is coming from the Supreme Lord Himself. So Krishna, He incarnated as Vyasadeva to give us the essence of all the Vedic literature. Now, in the beginning, Veda Vyas, he wrote only one Veda. And then afterwards, he divided into four. And even after dividing into four, he was not satisfied. He couldn't understand, what is it? I have written everything that one can want to know. And then his spiritual master, his guru, Narad Muni, came to him and explained to him that you have written this vast Vedas, but you have not glorified the Supreme Lord. You have not written about his pastimes. How did he appear? What did he do? You have not written anything about his devotees also. That is why you are not satisfied. So that is when Vyasadeva wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is for our benefit. Srimad Bhagavatam is a very, very powerful one. The four Vedas that he wrote, Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, Rig Veda, and Samaveda, they are all full of rituals, different types of knowledge, modes of material nature, etc. So much knowledge is there. But there is nothing about love for the Supreme Lord. So Narad Muni explained to him how important it is to glorify the Supreme Lord. Namaste. I want to thank all of you for coming. It's very nice to see all of you and meet you all. We'll talk after the class. So where was I? I'm going to ask questions to make sure no one is asleep. Right? Sometimes we can sleep with eyes open too. You know, we are expert at that. Namaste. Please sit. So, Narad Muni, he explains, now I'm going to divide the Srimad Bhagavatam into different cantos. Day 1 will be Canto 1, 2, and 3. Then it'll be 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9. Then 10th Canto will be on one day, Day 4, and then finally 11 and 12. There are 12 cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, do you need the mic? Oh, okay. Okay. Should I continue while the mic is set up?
We formally invite Geeta ji to our family.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
mummies 1 year.
Yes.
And we request you to please make us listen to Bhagavatam.
Absolutely. The purpose of our gathering is to hear Krishna Katha, to hear Bhagavatam Katha, so that we can purify ourselves. So in Canto 1, 2, and 3, I don't know how that works. They have the system over there. So where was I?
Canto 1, 2, 3.
Yes, Canto 1, 2, and 3. So today we are going to cover Canto 1, 2, and 3. And in the beginning of Canto 1, Narad Muni explains how he became Narad Muni. Isn't that interesting? Does anyone know how did Narad Muni become Narad Muni? Do you all know who's Narad Muni? He is a very powerful sage, very, very powerful sage who has a benediction for eternal life because he has a spiritual body and he can go anywhere, anytime, any planet, any place, anytime. He is a pure devotee of the Lord and he's also called a Mahajana. So, Narad Muni, he explains to his disciple, Vedavyas, Vyasadeva, that he was a Gandharva in his previous life. And as a Gandharva, he was very proud of his beauty because he was very beautiful, he was very opulent, and he had so much sense enjoyment. And he was a good singer too. He used to sing, and while singing, he was praising the demigods instead of the Supreme Lord. And so his spiritual master cursed him to become a Shudra. You know who's a Shudra? Shudra? No? Shudra. So there are 4 classes: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Mostly people in this age are Shudras, means working class people. So he became a Shudra, which means he became a son of a maid servant. In India, we call it Kamwali Bai, right? Yes or no? Kamwali Bai. So he became a son of that Kamwali Bai, and he was only 5 years old. And he was helping his mother. His mother used to go from house to house to wash dishes, clothes, etc., etc. And he, in his house, one time, some great sages visited their house. You can leave it here if it reaches. That might be too. Yeah, you can leave it here. We can just do it like this. Is that okay? Is it better? Good. थोड़ा सा volume कर दीजिए. Where was I? Big question. It's $1 million question. Where? Yes, the sages, great sages, they visited the house of this maid servant and they stayed there for 4 months. And both mother and son, they did seva. They served these sages for 4 months, giving them, food to eat, washing their feet, washing their clothes, etc. And these sages, after they would eat food, whatever was left over, they would give to this little boy. See, there is the food that has been offered to the Lord, which we call prasad, right? Prasad. If it is eaten by sages, it becomes more powerful. And the leftover of that, Narad Muni got, which means he got double mercy. And that cleansed his heart. And it so happened that one day his mother went out for, doing some work and was bitten by a snake. And when she was bit by a snake, she died. Now this 5-year-old boy is without anybody. So what does he do? He decides to travel and meet other devotees and learn from them about Srimad Bhagavatam. This is how he purified himself, and then he became Narad Muni. He is one of the great personalities. So he traveled, meditated, and all that. So now the Srimad Bhagavatam has 12 cantos. It has 335 chapters, 18,000 verses. Does anyone have time to read all of them? No. That's why we have gathered here to get the essence, right? To just get the summary in 5 days, 2 hours each day, 5 days. Thanks to you, Seema. I'm also getting to learn by reading and preparing. So now, in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that in fact, Padma Puran says that this whole Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be different parts of the Supreme Lord Krishna. It is said Padao Yadiyao Prathama Dvitiyao, which means Canto 1 and 2 are considered the lotus feet of the Lord. Canto 3 and 4 are considered his thighs. Canto 5 is the navel of the Lord. Canto 6 is the chest of the Lord. 7 and 8 are the arms of the Lord. 9 is the throat. 10 is the smiling lotus face of the Lord. 11 is the forehead. And 12th canto is his head. Isn't that beautiful? The whole Srimad Bhagavatam is represented by the different parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is considered a Mahapuran because there's nothing greater than Srimad Bhagavatam. How many of you have heard Srimad Bhagavatam before? You've heard? All of you. Oh, so I guess we don't need to speak, right? I'm just joking. Yes, we still need to hear. I started hearing Bhagavatam 40 years ago. Last month, I completed 40 years and still I'm learning. We have a long way to go because 18,000 verses, right? So the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, is divided into 10 topics. 10 topics. First one is Sarga, which means the universal creation of the Supreme Lord. Visarga is the secondary creation which is done by Lord Brahma. Sthanam is positioning of different planetary systems in this whole creation. And Poshanam is protection of devotees by the Supreme Lord. Anyone needs protection? Yeah? We can protect with ADT, Acumen, or no? That is just protection for the body or for the house or whatever, but we do need protection. Uti is auspicious and inauspicious inclination. Manvantara is another topic which is talking about the different manus that rule the kingdom. Then Ishanu Katha, topics of Supreme Lord, his incarnations, his devotees. Nirodha, which is annihilation. There are two kinds of annihilation that take place. One takes place at the end of Brahma's day. Brahma lives for 100 years. That is equal to our earthly years is 311 trillion 40 billion years. Unimaginable. So when one day of Brahma is finished, there is partial annihilation. And after 100 years, there is complete annihilation. Then there is mukti, which is liberation, and ashraya, which is supreme shelter. Now, all the 9 topics, the first 9 topics, the whole goal is number 10, which is Ashraya, surrendering to the Supreme Lord, taking his shelter. So when we are going to hear Srimad Bhagavatam for the next 5 days, our goal should be that we try to make a connection with the Supreme Lord and try to take shelter at his lotus feet. If we systematically hear the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said if we take one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam out of 18,000, it'll take us more than 100 years to finish. If we take one a day, more than 100 years. That is how vast it is. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by Shukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. I know these names are, what do you call, foreign for y'all, I'm sure, right? Have you all heard about Shukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, Sutta Goswami, sages at Naimisharanya? So this is a conversation going on on Srimad Bhagavatam. Who is Shukadev Goswami? Have you all heard about Radharani, Radha and Krishna?
Yes.
Thank you. Have you heard about Krishna? Yes.
Yeah.
Krishna's pleasure potency is Radharani. Now, Radharani has two parrots. One is Shuka and the other is Saru. So one time, Shuka, one parrot, flew and went and sat on a tree in Kailash, where Lord Shiva resides. And Lord Shiva at that time was relating Srimad Bhagavatam to Parvati. He was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to Parvati. It so happened, now what Parvati did, I beg you, please don't do. What did she do? She fell asleep. Please don't do that. She fell asleep. But because Lord Shiva's eyes were closed, he didn't realize that she is asleep, but he continued speaking the Bhagavatam. And when she was awake, whatever he was saying, she was saying, right? To acknowledge, right? You don't have to do that. You can do that if you want to. So, Shuka, the parrot, realized Parvati is asleep. Now, if no one does Lord Shiva will stop speaking. And he wanted to hear. So he started doing Then when Lord Shiva completed speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam, he opened his eyes and what does he see? Parvati is asleep. I know. That is the natural language, common language. So then Lord Shiva said, if she is asleep, who was doing He looked up and he saw Shuka. He started chasing Shuka with his trident. And Shuka was afraid, he didn't want to die. So he was flying. And at that time, Vyasadeva, about whom we are talking now, Vyasadeva was along with his wife, and they were talking, and the wife started yawning, and Shuka entered into her mouth. While she was yawning, he entered into the mouth and went straight into her womb. And after 16 years, he came out. Now you may say, why didn't he come? How soon do the babies come out? 10 months? 9 months, 10 months? Some 6, some 7, 9, right? 16 years. Why? Because when he was in the womb of Vyasadev's wife, Vyasadeva was talking about Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was so interested, he became so self-realized, he didn't want to come out, because if he came out, he would get struck by Maya. Then he would have to get married and have babies and go to work, and right? He didn't want to do all that. So this is how, when he came out after 16 years, he came out as Shukadev Goswami, and he's the one who spoke Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Now, who is Parikshit Maharaj? That is also important to know. Parikshit Maharaj is the son of Uttara. I know these names are foreign to all of you, but uh, Parikshit Maharaj, grandson of Arjuna. Yes, you've heard about Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So when he was in the womb of his mother, at that time, Ashwatthama had released a Brahmastra, and he was protected inside the womb of his mother. He had darshan of Lord Vishnu inside the womb when he was a little baby inside. He died because of the Brahmastra, but Lord Vishnu revived him and gave him another life. So now this Parikshit Maharaj, how did he land up with Shukadev Goswami in the forest? It's because Parikshit Maharaj, he was a king, very opulent, had everything that he wanted. But one day he went to the forest hunting and he was very thirsty. And he entered into a hermitage of a sage, and that sage was meditating. Now, because of thirst, does any of you get angry when you're thirsty and there's no water? Right? You're hungry and there's no food, right? Yes, we do get angry. So he got angry because the sage did not welcome the king, Parikshit Maharaj, and did not offer him a place to sit, no water to drink, because the sage was meditating. How could he do that? And then, because of anger, there was a dead snake lying there. He picked that up and put it around the neck of the sage. And he was going out. When he was going out, in those days, in that yuga, the brahmanas were very, very powerful. The sages were very powerful. So the son of this sage was also powerful, a young boy. When he realized what had happened with his father, he cursed Parikshit Maharaj, "You will die in 7 days." You see? What would we do if we got this notice? It's a question. What would we do? First go crazy. I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. 7 days, countdown begins 6, 5, 4. Oh my God, tomorrow I'm going to be dead, right? But Parikshit Maharaj was a devotee of Krishna. So he approached Shukadev Goswami and asked him $1 million question. And that question is, what should one do who is about to die? Any of you about to die? Huh? Almost no. All of us. Not almost. No exceptions. All of us, because death can come. I know. It's very hard to explain to you. You're a kid. But we understand death can come any time. So this question is so valuable. What should one do who is about to die? And that is when Shukadev Goswami starts explaining the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And he sat down to hear 7 days non-stop without eating, without drinking. So I'm sure Seema forgot to tell you, we'll be sitting here 7 days, no food, no water. Isn't that the deal?
7 hours, if you can make it.
2 hours, if you can make it, it's a big deal. Yes. You see? So, Parikshit Maharaj, because he was cursed, Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken. In the first, second, and third canto, there is another mention of Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev, we all have heard. I hope so. Yes, you did good. Bhishma Dev, son of Mother Ganges, Mother Ganga. He is also known as Ganga Putra, Devavrata, Ganga Sutta, Gangeya, Ganga Datta, and also Bhishma. Now, this Bhishma Dev, he had a benediction. He could die when he wanted to. Do we want that benediction? We decide when we want to die. But unfortunately, we don't have that benediction. We don't have that benediction, but he did. And that is why he left his body in front of Lord Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra after it was over, after Yudhishthira Maharaj became the king, the Pandavas were there, and just he explained, gave spiritual knowledge to the Pandavas, and then he left the body. Now, who is this Bhishma Dev? He is one of the 8 Vasus, and he had actually stolen the cow of Vasishtha. And that's why he was cursed to be born in this material world as Devavrata, later on called as Bhishma Dev. Now, Bhishma Dev has given advice to us. Are we human beings? Yes? No. Then who are we? We are spiritual beings in human body, having a human experience. We are animals? Oh, no. 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 We are not animals. We are spiritual beings in the human body. So Bhishma Dev has given advice to us. He says, never to tell a lie, to be pure in mind and pure in body, not to be envious of anyone, to lead a simple life, to be free from anger, to practice spirituality, to practice tolerance. Should I go on? There's a lot of instructions. But basically, he was trying to explain to the Pandavas that we should lead our lives as human beings, which means the goal should be to achieve the spiritual world. And that is what Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining. Now, the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about the supremacy of Lord Krishna. In that, there will be mention about Ashtanga Yoga, meditation, about the Super Soul, which is the Paramatma, is going to talk about who is Krishna. You see, different scriptures give us the knowledge. Now, supposing I tell all of you, I am God, will you believe me? Please say yes. Please say yes. Please say yes. No, I'm not. Because if I was God, I would need to show. I would need to give proof that I'm God, right? Just like Krishna showed to Arjuna the universal form to show him that I am God. So scriptures give us knowledge. For instance, Brahma Samhita tells us, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, there is mention, Ete Chamsa Kalapamsa, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swam. Krishna, you yourself are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So from the scriptures, we come to know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Just like I mentioned, I'm God and you don't agree. I thought you were my friend. There is one God. Yes, there is one God. Now, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very nice conversation between Vidura and Maitreya Muni. Vidura, who is he? Has any one of you heard about Yamaraj? Yamaraj? Who is Yamaraj? He is the controller of... Yes, he's... Oh, wow, he should get an award. He is the Lord of Death. You're making my life easy. You're helping me. That's wonderful. Yes, he is the Lord of Death. And how did he become Vidura, he lives in his kingdom, but he came down to this material world as a Shudra. That means son of a maid servant. How? It is mentioned that there was a great sage, Manduka Muni, and Manduka Muni was in his hermitage and he was just meditating. At that time, some thieves entered his hermitage. And at that time, also, some cops also came there And they grabbed these thieves and they grabbed the Muni also. They thought he also is a thief and took him and arrested him and decided that he also should be hanged to death. That means all the thieves and Manuka Muni to be hanged. At that time, the king, when he came to know, he came and he saved Manduka Muni. He said, no, he cannot be hanged. He is a great sage. So Manduka Muni, he was very upset that he was about to be hanged to death. So he went to Yamaraj. He was so powerful, he could go to the planet of Yamaraj and he asked him, why did you do this to me? Why was I supposed to be hanged? Yamaraj said, when you were little, you had pierced an ant with a lance. And this was your punishment that you would be punished like. He got more upset. A little boy, you taking that little action to be so serious. So he cursed Yamaraj to become a Shudra. And that's how he became Vidura and came down to this material world. That is the story of Yamaraj. And he was cursed to stay on this earthly planet for 100 years. Now we know Vidura was the brother of Dhritarashtra. Anyone knows who's Dhritarashtra? The blind king, right? In the Mahabharata, have you all watched Mahabharata? Yes. And Ramayan, right? Yeah, Ramayan, yes, that about Lord Ramachandra. We'll talk about him on another day, but today we are talking about Dhritarashtra. Vidura is the one who guided his elder brother to give up attachment to the kingdom. Dhritarashtra was blind, not only physically, but also spiritually he was blind. So he was guided by Vidura. Now, in this canto, there are different, you can say, knowledge about different forms of yoga. You see, there's a yoga ladder, right? So there is karma yoga, there is jnana yoga. Bhakti yoga is right on top. There is ashtanga yoga, hatha yoga, and then finally there is bhakti yoga. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains in chapter 6, he says, Yogi nam api sarvesham madgati nantar atma. Shraddhavan bhajate yoma. That the topmost yogi is one who thinks of me within the heart. That means the bhakti yogi is the topmost yogi. So in this canto, there will be description of different forms of yoga. And towards the end, we will understand that the purpose of yoga. What is yoga? Let me first ask you, what is not yoga? Do you all know what is not yoga? Disharmony. Yeah. What else? What is not yoga? Chair yoga, hot yoga, cold yoga. What else? All this is not yoga. No. Yoga means connection with the Supreme. That is not yoga. That is just stretching. But according to Srimad Bhagavatam, yoga means connecting with the Supreme Lord. So this canto talks about different planetary systems. What have we learned in our schools? How many planets are there?
6.
When I was in school, there were 10. Then I don't know how they became 8.
6.
Now they are 6. But Srimad Bhagavatam says 14 planetary systems. Srimad Bhagavatam talks about 14 planetary. So this whole creation is divided into 2 parts, material world and the spiritual world. Material world is only 1/4 of the creation and the spiritual world is 3/4 of the creation. Did you all know that? No. One time someone told me, I don't want to do bhakti yoga. I don't want to chant the holy names. I don't want to go to the spiritual world. Why? because it'll be too crowded. If everyone goes there, there will be no place for me. Yes, that is a bummer, absolutely. Because spiritual world is, I know, I've been through that. So, yeah. Yes. Where was I? So, yes, the spiritual world. He's making it entertaining. So spiritual world is 3/4, which means there is a lot of place for all of us to go back to the spiritual world. So what are the 14 planetary systems? Satyaloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, Swarloka, Bhuvarloka, Bhuloka, which is this earthly planet in the middle. These are the upper planetary systems. And the 7 lower planetary systems are Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patal. These are the 14 planetary systems. And as I mentioned, the 10 topics, the first topic is Sarga. So this whole universal creation is called Sarga. And the secondary creation is called Visarga. And that secondary creation is done by Lord Brahma. Now, Lord Brahma is the one who, after Krishna has created, then he does the secondary creation. So it's important to know who is Brahma and how does he come? Where does he come from? Or does he just pop from the spiritual world and bang comes into the material world? No. It is mentioned in this canto in Srimad Bhagavatam that Lord Krishna, he expands himself as Lord Balram, and then the Chaturvyu, which is Vasudev, Shankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. Then again, there is another Chaturvyu. And then from there, there comes Mahavishnu. Have you heard about Mahavishnu? Do you know how many Vishnus are there? No. No.
10?
So
Like
the first expansion is Mahavishnu, who's also known as Karano Dakshay Vishnu. Now, from his pores, a lot of innumerable universes come out from the pores of his body, from Mahavishnu. And then he enters into each universe as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. That's another expansion of Vishnu. And as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he is laying down, and from his navel comes a lotus flower. And Lord Brahma appears on that lotus flower. That is how Lord Brahma appears. So he has no mother, no father, you can say. He's not born like we take birth. And then again, this Vishnu expands into the heart of each one of us as Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Now, I have a question for all of you. It's not a test, but it's just a question. Is it something interesting? Is it something you're wanting to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam?
Very interesting.
Thank you.
But he represents all our knowledge. So
okay.
Treat him with respect.
Of course, and of course. Did I disrespect him?
Very good point.
Very good. That's what I told him. He's the one who's helping me. Yes, he's helping me. Yes, he's helping us. And he has most of the answers too.
And
he's answered them.
He said there are 1,000 Vishnu. That's because of Vishnu Sahasranam, he's saying.
1,000 names of Vishnu. Yes, 1,000 names of Vishnu. There are 1,000 names of Vishnu. Yes. Okay. So where was I?
About coming out of the pores, and you asked another question.
Yes. My question was, is it something that you said you're interested in hearing. So he answered the question. Yes. How old is Krishna? Krishna has no age. He's always existed. He tells us in the Bhagavad Gita, there was never a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor anybody. We are all eternal souls, and we are always existing. So we don't have an age. Oh, we will talk about this in 10th canto. I will explain to you how Krishna appears in this material world. It's very, very beautiful. The whole session will be just on 10th Canto about Krishna and his pastimes. So this is how Lord Brahma appears, and also Lord Vishnu appears in our hearts as the super soul, as we call him Paramatma, as Paramatma within the heart. Now this canto also talks about the Vaikuntha planet. Kuntha means anxiety. Vaikuntha means no anxiety. So the spiritual planets, Vaikuntha planets, there is no anxiety at all. Anyone who wants to get rid of anxiety? So we are agreeing we are anxious, right? We are agreeing we are in anxiety. That's the nature of this material world. So Vaikuntha, it gives a very beautiful description of Vaikuntha. Then it also talks about the life of Kardama Muni and his wife Devahuti and their son, who is none other the Supreme Lord himself, who appeared as Kapila Muni, and he's the one who taught his mother the purpose of human form of life. So sometimes sons also teach their mothers and the parents. It's not always parents, who teach the children, but sometimes the children become guru for their parents. Isn't that wonderful? So here Kapila Muni, who's the Lord, Supreme Lord himself, he gives knowledge to his mother. Now this Kardama Muni was son of Lord Brahma, and he got married to daughter of Manu, who was Devahuti, and they had 9 daughters. And then after that, they had the Supreme Lord appear as their son. Now, when she accepted her son as Guru, she understood he is qualified. Just like today you are hearing Bhagavatam from me, I'm sure you have done some research. Who am I? Am I qualified? Am I certified? Who is my guru? Am I in parampara? Am I coming down in the strict disciplic succession from Lord Krishna himself, right? Right? Because if supposing I open a school in my backyard, would you all send your children to that school? No. Thank you. That is the right answer. Why? Because I am not recognized by the Board of Education. It's not authorized school. So it'll be waste of time and money, right? So also spiritual knowledge should be received from strict bona fide teachers. So here, both have to be qualified, the guru and the disciple. So Devahuti knew that my son is a qualified guru for me. And the son knew my mother is a qualified disciple for me. So he taught her the highest form of yoga, which is attachment to the Supreme Lord Krishna. This is what he basically taught her, how to purify the consciousness, to remove all the impurities, which is like lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, all these impurities in the heart, they need to be removed. Yes. Kapila Muni, who is an incarnation of Krishna, he taught his mother Devahuti. Yes, wife of Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni, son of Lord Brahma. So the idea of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is to remove the impurities from the heart. They may be there in little degree, maybe a little bit, but the idea is to purify even the consciousness, and also the idea that we have of I, me, and mine. Yes, everything, I should be the focus. Everything should be around me. I, me, and mine. See, Steve Jobs was very smart. Do you know why? Because he made it based on our consciousness. I, phone, iPhone, Mac, iPod, right? He knew we are very attached to ourselves. So I, everything. Steve Jobs, his father gave him a very, very life-changing, what you can say, guidance, life-changing. He was a young boy, Steve Jobs, and his father told him, "My son, can you help me paint the fence?" You know, we have fence, right? Around the house, we have fence. He said, "Why don't you paint the fence?" He said, "Sure, Dad." And he went and he painted the fence, and he felt very proud. And he came to his father and he said, "Done. Can you come and check?" So father came to inspect. And he said, "You only painted the outside. What about the inside of the fence?" He said, "Who sees?" Right? No one sees inside of the fence, so there's no need to paint. Father taught him a very big lesson. He said, "We see the inside, right? When we are inside, we see the inside of the fence. Others may only see outside." Similarly, he said, we need to work inside. Inner work gives outer impact. So when we work on ourselves, when we work on our heart, when we work on our consciousness, when we remove all these unwanted things from the heart like lust, anger, greed, pride, and all, that has an impact on others. Yes or no? Right? Do any one of us like to associate with angry people?
No.
Someone who's shouting at all the time at us, someone who is insulting and cursing. Do we? No. Right? So what is inside comes out. So if inside is good, then outside also impact is good. So Devahuti got this instruction from her son, Kapila Muni, on how to change purify the consciousness. That is very, very important, because the purpose of human form of life is to become self-realized, to understand, who am I? If someone asks us, who am I? What do we say? If someone asks me, who am I? I'll say, I'm Geeta. That's the instant reaction. If someone asked you, who are you? What would you say? I am. Exactly. Right? But that is the body. That's the identification of the body. But idea is to understand, I am the spirit soul. When we understand that, this is what Devahuti was being explained by her son, to somehow or the other change the consciousness. And the Srimad Bhagavatam explains to us, Krite yadhyayato Vishnu, Tretayam yajato makaya. Dwapare paricharyam kalau tad hariketan. Kriteyat. In Satya Yuga, people used to live for 100,000 years. 100,000 years. So the way to become self-realized was through meditation. And meditate for how long? 30,000 years. Do we have the time? We don't. Then came Treta Yuga. People lived for 10,000 years. And the process for self-realization was fire sacrifice, where the priest, the Brahmana, was so powerful, he did not need a lighter or matches to start the fire. He would just chant the mantra. He was so pure that immediately there was fire in the sacrifice. That was the process. In Dwapar Yuga, it was elaborate worship in the temple. But Kalau means in Kali Yuga, in which we are. Tad means we get the same benefit. Hari Kirtana. Hari Kirtana means chanting the holy names of the Lord. And Lord Krishna came 540 years ago on this planet, earthly planet, to teach us what to chant. And he taught us that Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam. Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. In Kali Yuga, there is no other way, no other way, no other way, except chanting, chanting, chanting. Now chant what? Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare. This is what he taught us. Krishna taught us to chant in Kali Yuga. I remember in Mumbai, I used to live in Mumbai, and I used to have this Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam class at home, and neighbors would come, relatives, friends would come. Now, in my immediate neighbor, his name was Vicky. I still remember. This was what, 40 years ago. He would come and he would sit right in front to hear because he was very interested in Srimad Bhagavatam. So when I recited the shloka that in Kali Yuga chanting is the only way, he said, I would like to chant. And I felt so happy that, someone is interested in chanting the holy names. So he said, can you give me a mala? We chant on these beads, right? These beads. So I said, sure. I gave him Tulsi beads and I taught him how to chant. Now there are 108 beads in this one mala, and you chant the whole Maha Mantra on each bead, and then you go on to the next one, like you would chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Then you go on to the next bead. This is how you complete 108 times. It takes about 10 minutes. So he said, yes, I will do. So I asked him, so how many rounds will you chant? He said, I'll chant 16 rounds, which means 16 into 108 times. And I was very happy. So next week when he came to the class, I asked him, Vicky, did you chant? He said, yes. How many rounds did you chant? 16 rounds. I said, oh, how did you find the time? Because you have homework to do, you go to school, you play, because chanting 16 rounds take 2 hours. He said, no, I finished in 10 minutes. Like, there's something wrong. I said, can you show me how you chant? Because I wanted to figure out how can you chant 16 rounds in 10 minutes. So he sat down in a yoga position, closed his eyes like as in like an asana, right? And he closed his eyes and he held the beads and he chanted, closed Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Ditto, 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 ditto. I'm like, that's not how you chant. He said, but that's what teacher taught me in school. Anything you have to repeat, you just do ditto, ditto. This is how no. This is how the mind works, right? We try to find loopholes. Yes. So chanting is what helps us to change our consciousness. It helps us to purify our hearts. It helps us to become more tolerant, to become more compassionate, to become more patient. Do we need all those qualities? We all need those qualities, right? So this is what Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us. So hearing Krishna Katha in association of devotees, like we all are together and we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, that is very, very powerful. From all the pastimes of Krishna, from all the pastimes of devotees of Krishna, we get to learn so much. You see, Srimad Bhagavatam is not a story book that, you just open and you hear this story. Oh, this is what Bhishma Dev did. This is what Shukadev Goswami did. No. What do we learn from them? Just like what do we learn from Shuka, parrot of Radharani, right? That hearing is so important. He flew and he sat on the tree branch just to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, the importance of hearing. Then another thing we learn from Shuka is that how important it is to take shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord. Like he entered into the, I'm not saying we all go enter into the mouth of devotees, but he took shelter of a pure devotee so that he could again hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Vyasadeva, his father, because the father also was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to his wife, and Shuka was in the womb and he was again hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. You see? So Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very powerful. So when we hear an association of devotees, it becomes very pleasing to the heart and also it is pleasing to not only our heart, but also our soul feels very happy. There's a difference. So we have two bodies. One is this gross body that we can see, right? The senses we can see, eyes, ears, nose, throat, everything. And then there is a subtle body which is inside the heart. And that subtle body is mind, intelligence, and false ego. This is what it comprises of. So what's in the heart? There is the soul. There's a super soul, which is the Paramatma. Then there is the subtle body inside the heart. So when the soul leaves the body, along with it goes the subtle body and the super soul. So only thing that is left is just this body. Because the soul is gone, now the body is dead. What is it that gives consciousness to the body? It is the spirit soul. Does that make sense? Right? Because as soon as the soul leaves, we may want, that body to, talk, see, walk, do it. Nothing. The body will not do anything. So what was the most valuable thing inside the body? The spirit soul. Of course, the super soul too, but the spirit soul that gives consciousness to the whole body. Have any of you heard about Harry Monson? No? He was a very famous scientist from Norway. Then he moved to Chicago, and he was a professor there, a scientist too. And he did research. And in the research, he came up with the value of a dead body. Can you guess the value of a dead body? In dollars. What do you think is the value of the dead body in dollars? Just a guess. $20, $50, something. Huh? It has some value because it has some chemicals left. So there's some value to the body. So just whatever little leftover is there. No. No, that's a lot. 100K is a lot. Let me tell you, it's less than $10. He did research and he said $5.60. $5.60 is the value of the body that we like to decorate every day, that we like to feed every day, that we like to dress beautifully every day. But once the soul leaves the body, it's only $5.60. So what is it that was giving value to the body? The spirit soul. That is why Srimad Bhagavatam is guiding us that we should not only feed the body, but also feed the soul. Very, very important. Now we may say that, do you think soul will like idli sambar? What do you think? Or masala dosa? What? No. The food for the soul is hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Food for the soul is chanting the holy names of the Lord. So now it's almost 6 o'clock, so we'll take a break to do bhajans for 10 minutes, right? And then we will resume again after that, okay? So we'll have another session after 10 minutes. So thank you so much for the nice bhajans. And we are today covering Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, 2, and 3. And so far, we have heard about Lord Krishna, about his devotees. Does anyone remember the names of the devotees we heard about? One is Shukadeva Goswami, another is Parikshit Maharaj. We heard about Yamaraj, Vidura, Maitreya, Narad Muni, Bhishma Dev. Yes, Yamaraj. Who? Yes, Kapila Muni, Devahuti, Kardama Muni. So we've heard a lot today, right? So what is the purpose of hearing about Krishna and his devotees? The main thing is to understand that by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we will become self-realized, which means there's going to be realization not theoretically, but practically, because theory is very easy. I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. That's theory. But how to realize it? When we see others, do we always think about, oh, that's a spirit soul? Oh, there is Lord in the heart of that person. Do we think like that? No. First, attention goes to the body. That is called bodily concept of life. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is going to help us become self-realized by the process of bhakti yoga. Bhakti means devotion. Yoga means connect. Connect with the Lord through devotion. And engaging ourselves in devotional service, like Kapila Muni was explaining to his mother Devabhuti, is by constantly hearing and chanting. We will hear about Prahlad Maharaj in the later cantos, and he gives us 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. These are the 9 processes. And the first one is Shravanam, which means hearing. And after we hear, then we chant. Shravanam, then Kirtanam, like we did Kirtan. So we chant. When we chant, those powerful sound vibrations, they enter into our ears and they go straight to the heart and purify the heart. That is the purpose of hearing and chanting. So when we do that, then Kapila Muni is explaining that we will be able to become a pure devotee of the Lord. And that will automatically bring about nice, good qualities like patience, tolerance, compassion, mercy, friendliness towards others. This will become automatic. We won't have to strive separately for them. And then that person will have no enemies. Do we have enemies? We may not have, but others may consider us enemy, right? Sometimes that also happens. But when we come to that stage of pure love for the Lord, pure devotion, then no enemies, because no matter what, one is going to be completely peaceful. That is what Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us, to constantly hear and chant. And that becomes more powerful when we do that in association of devotees. Right? Say, supposing we call some drunkards and tell them, come, let's hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Will they hear? No, they'll be all drunk and maybe they'll just sleep over here or whatever. But we associate with like-minded people, spiritually minded people, so that we can learn from each other. And this is how we can progress. There is a beautiful verse which explains the process of Bhakti Yoga. And it says, Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya Anartha Nivriti. That first we should have Shraddha, not the lady Shraddha, but faith. We should have faith that there is God. We may not know anything about him, but at least that faith should be there. There is a supreme Lord. And then when we have that basic faith, we do sadhu sangha, which means we associate with sadhus, spiritually minded people. And that will lead to bhajana kriya, which means hearing and chanting. That is bhajana kriya. And that will lead to anartha nivriti. What is anartha? Unwanted things. What are the unwanted things in our heart? Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion. What's the illusion we have? You know, Yudhishthira Maharaj discovered the 8th wonder of the world. How many wonders are there in the world? 7. He discovered the 8th. And that was, everybody is going to die, but they think they are never going to die. That is the 8th wonder of the world. See? So when we start doing this bhajana kriya, we will understand the purpose of human form of life. Most people, they think that it is only eat, sleep, and be merry. How many of people you've met who say there's no life after death? Many, right? They think, whatever, finish here now, finish, that's it. Then how does karma work? Why is it that two babies are born at the same time in the same hospital, one with a silver spoon and the other poor, one who is fully normal, the other disabled, one is very rich, now this, why? The babies have not done any work, right? They haven't performed any actions. Then how come they are in that different situation? It's past karma. So there is life after death. So this process, the Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us how to do bhakti yoga so that we can remove anarthas from our heart, unwanted things from our heart. Very, very important. And the topmost is pride. Pride comes before the fall. Have you heard that before? Right? So if there's pride, there has to be fall. You know, how many of you heard about the Titanic? All of us, right? Titanic. The captain of Titanic was very proud. Why? Because it was the best ship ever that was constructed, built, right? The huge, gigantic ship with all the beautiful facilities. And it was going on a maiden voyage, and he was the captain of the maiden voyage. He was very proud. And when it was on his maiden voyage, it is said that he received many signals from the control room. Change the course, change the course. Did he listen? No. That's why Titanic sank. But guess what? He did not die. He was a cause of death of so many passengers, but he did not die. Why? Because when the Titanic hit I believe the iceberg, right? It hit the iceberg. There was some flow of oil from somewhere, and he got covered in oil, the captain. And then when he was in the water, he didn't sink because of the oil. Can you believe that? What luck. But 10 years later, and guess what? I heard that even though he realized that it was because of his pride, he didn't listen to the control tower, that there was this destruction, he never accepted that. Right? And 10 years later, it is said that he was in a bar and he was solid drunk. What happens when you're drunk? Have you tried it? Because you answered immediately.
If I tried it, I couldn't answer it. I have seen it.
You see? So when a person is drunk, they don't know right from left. They don't know go straight or back. They don't know where they are. They may just fall on the street and think that's my home and then just fall asleep there, right? So what happened while he was walking, he was so drunk, he was like, what is that called? Swaying, yes. He was not able to walk straight. And he fell on his face on the street. And guess what? He fell, there was a puddle of water, and he fell there. And because he was drunk, he could not move himself. He could not come out of the puddle. He couldn't turn himself or do anything. And he died in that puddle of water. Saved in the ocean, but died in the puddle of water. Pride is very, very dangerous, and that is what is being explained here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that if we do not practice hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord, then we will not be able to remove these unwanted things from the heart. And if we are not able to do that, then we will not get the visa stamped on our passports to go back to the spiritual world. When we came to the US, we needed a visa, right? Or did we just sneak in? No, we needed a stamp on our passport, right? So similarly, we need to stamp our passport, which has a spiritual visa stamped on it that tells us we are qualified to go back to the spiritual. So in today's 3 cantos that we learned, Canto 1, Canto 2, and Canto 3, Krishna, through his devotees, he's explaining to us that those who follow this cycle of liberation, those who follow this process of bhakti yoga and come out of this cycle of birth, disease, old age, and death, when they come out of this cycle, they get liberated. And he says, ultimately, they come to my abode. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, he gives a description of his abode. Now, supposing, if I'm invited to some place, like someone says, why don't you come to Detroit, right? From Atlanta to Detroit. The first thing that I will do is I will find out what's in Detroit. Yes or no? Yeah. When I'm going someplace, I should have some knowledge. What is there? What are the attractions? Where can I stay? Where can I eat? All that knowledge is. So similarly, Krishna is giving us knowledge about his abode, that when you come there, you should know what to expect. It is called Chintamani Dham. Krishna Dham. Dham means abode. That is Krishna's abode, Chintamani Dham. And he says in Bhagavad Gita, he explains that in that Chintamani Dham, he says there is no need for electricity. That doesn't mean there's darkness. That means the effulgence coming out from the body of Krishna, the Brahma Jyoti coming out from the body of Krishna, illuminates the whole spiritual world. There is a desire tree. How many of us want a desire tree? You stand and you desire and you get it. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So there is, yes, Kalpavriksha is there in the spiritual abode, which is called Krishna Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. That is where is Kalpavriksha. All the desires are fulfilled. But guess what? One who is liberated, who's got mukti, who has become self-realized, when they go to the spiritual abode, do you think they will stand near Kalpavriksha and say, I want a Tesla or I want a Mercedes? Or no, because there is there's full purification. There will be no desire for anything material. The only desire one will have is, how can I serve the Supreme Lord? How can I chant more? How can I hear Krishna Katha? How can I sit there and hear Srimad Bhagavatam? So it's not just that we are going to hear Bhagavatam here 5 days, but there is Bhagavatam Katha even in Krishna Loka. So Krishna is explaining to us through Bhagavad Gita, through Srimad Bhagavatam, that how we can purify our hearts, our mind, our consciousness, and become liberated. Unfortunately, most people have the idea of liberation is mukti after death, right? Isn't that what we've heard? No. Bhagavad Gita explains mukti is a state of consciousness. So while we are in this body, in this material world, we can still be liberated, which means our hearts have become purified. All the unwanted things have gone away. So this is what is the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, 2, and 3, talking about, what are the 10 subjects that will be covered in all the 12 cantos. What is the meaning of each subject? It will be elaborated, and also what we can learn from the lives of the devotees of the Supreme Lord. What will we learn from the Supreme Lord himself? When we come to 10th canto, it's going to be full of pastimes of Krishna. First, we will hear about his appearance. How does he appear? Of course, my mother, when I was little, growing up, my parents, we celebrated Janmashtami. We worshiped Lord Krishna at home. We would do bhajans every day. But my mother did not have knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. So she celebrated Janmashtami the way her mother taught her. And that was, she explained that Krishna is born out of a cucumber from a kira. So she would hide Bal Gopal inside the cucumber on the jhula, and then at midnight we will all be chanting and dancing, and Krishna will come out of a cucumber. Isn't that sweet? A sweet pastime, right? So she taught us what she knew. And that is what we will learn. We will not learn that in 10th canto, that he comes out of cucumber. No, but we will learn exactly from Krishna's own mouth, how did he appear, that beautiful pastime. So today we have covered Canto 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to end now, and I leave some time for any questions if anyone has any questions.
So basically, this is about Raja Parikshit learning what to do in a 1 week of life.
Yes.
So how is it relating to our everyday listening to this? Yes, we are purifying ourselves, but in what way Srimad Bhagavatam is applying to us that every minute we can die?
Very nice question. So Srimad Bhagavatam is two conversations going on side by side. Side by side in the sense, it's one conversation is between Shukadev Goswami reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, who's about to die in 7 days. And then later on in Bhagavatam, we'll see Suta Goswami, who was sitting in the audience when Shukadev Goswami was speaking. He is speaking the same Srimad Bhagavatam to the sages at Naimisharanya, thousands of sages. So these are two conversations going on, but it is all related to Srimad Bhagavatam. So what do we learn from Parikshit Maharaj, who's about to die in 7 days? And what is the significance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam? Because as you said, we can die any minute. I would say we can die any moment, right? We may make plans and say, okay, from here, I will go home and I'll do this and I'll do that, etc., etc. But death can come anytime. So we learn from Parikshit Maharaj is we should take this human form of life very seriously. Very seriously, because there are 8.4 million species of life, not population, but different species of life. And only 400,000 are different human species alive, the least. And this human form of life we get after going through the whole evolutionary cycle of 8.4 million species. Then we get a human form. And the purpose of human form is, like Parikshit Maharaj realized, is to hear, to understand, to contemplate, and put it into practice. Then we will be able to make best use of this human form of life and become self-realized and go to the spiritual world. We are like fish out of the water. We take the fish out of the water, give a $10 million home to the fish, give jaguar, give a lot of food to eat, maid servants, everything. Is the fish going to be happy? Why not? Because the position of the fish is in the water. That's the constitutional position. So our constitutional position is to be in the spiritual world because we are spiritual beings. Krishna says, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We are Sanatana, we are eternal, and we are Amsha, we are parts of the Supreme Lord. So Parikshit Maharaj is understanding the importance of, first of all, this human form of life, because only in human form we can understand Bhagavatam. Cats, dogs, animals, birds, no one can understand Bhagavatam. So important point to understand is this human form is meant to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we can realize we can die any minute, so that we can realize that I don't want to come back into this material world. Yes. You see, every action has a reaction. So based on our actions, just like we place an order on Amazon, right? We want a speaker or whatever it is. So whatever order we place, it's delivered to us. So we are, in this life, we are placing an order for next body based on our actions. We got to be very careful.
Out of nowhere.
Exactly. For that, we have to work. If we don't want material body, then we have to work towards it.
But I have some people who I know want to be living in this and want to come back to this because they're enjoying this so much.
Good for them. If they want to, that's their choice. You see, that's the minute independence the Lord has given us. In everyone's heart, Krishna is there as a super soul, and He's given us minute, and He's guiding us through the scriptures, through devotees, through sages, through the Lord Himself, giving us knowledge. But He's not forcing us. That choice is there. What do we do with that minute independence? To do the right thing or the wrong thing, and then we face consequences. I remember when I used to teach Bhagavad Gita in Mumbai, there was one gentleman. He used to come regularly and he said, in my next life, I want to be a bulldog. Sure, that's your choice. What can I do? You want to choose, you choose. But once you become a bulldog, then you have to go through the whole evolutionary cycle of 8 million species and then come to human form. And then after coming to human form, there is no guarantee that person will take up to God consciousness, no guarantee. See, all of you are sitting here. I have not put a gun on your head and brought you here, have I? Yes, I didn't put a gun on your head and say, come, 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 you have to. No, you've come from your own free will, free choice, right? Right? Now what you do after hearing is again your choice.
So the other question in my mind is, we are doing it for ourselves.
Yes.
First. But we have, because mom's 1 year, so in her memory, we got ourselves together. How are we benefiting her, or what can we do to benefit her soul, or whatever the journey is? What is our role in this?
Yes, very important question. How can we help our parents who have already left the body? Prahlad Maharaj explains that if we become a pure devotee, if we will liberate them.
How?
Krishna will just take them back to Godhead, back to the spiritual world.
That one's karma, that one's karma.
No. Yes, whatever it is. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj explains that when we become a pure devotee, we will liberate many generations above and below also. Those generations to come also, we can liberate them.
So this has to be taken just as a point of Shraddha. There is no, because Prahlad Maharaj has said, that is why we have to believe it.
Okay, very good point. Let me give you an example that when I was born, my father died. Okay, so I never saw my father, supposing. So if I have not seen my father and I want to know who's my father, who is the best person who can tell me who's my father? Mother. Can she give me proof? I have to take her word, right? So Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita that these Vedic scriptures, the Vedas, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita, they are our mother that is giving us knowledge about our Supreme Father. So we take the words of the mother with full faith that what the mother is saying is the truth. So this is how we understand. In the beginning when I started in the beginning, I talked about 3 ways to receive knowledge: Pratyaksha Praman, Anuman Praman, and Shabda Praman. So Pratyaksha Praman is sensory experience. Now let me give you an example. Say this is this bottle of water, right? It's filled with water and it's clear plastic, so you can see the water. Now if I put a stick inside this, what will the stick appear to be? Science students? Bent. It'll appear to be bent. Is the stick bent? But it appears. So I cannot take what my senses see. I cannot take that as far as spiritual knowledge is concerned to be perfect. That is Pratyaksha Praman. Anuman Praman is where we do a guesswork. Like when I was in school, the book said there are 10 planets. I think children said 8 planets, 6 planets, or what. It keeps changing based on the instruments that we have. The more powerful instruments, the better we can see, and that knowledge changes. So Anuman Praman also doesn't work, that in my opinion, according, but Shabda Praman. Shabda means word of authority. And the Vedas, the Srimad Bhagavatam, is the word of authority coming directly from Krishna himself. Who is Vyasadev? He is Krishna himself. He has incarnated to give us the Vedas. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto matah smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarver aham eva vedeyo vedanta krit veda vid evacha. What does that mean? He says, I am the compiler of the Vedas, and the purpose of the Vedas is to know me. This is what Krishna says in chapter 15. So the Bhagavad Gita, they're all words of the Supreme Lord. So we go by word of authority. We may not be, just like mother cannot give proof that this is your father. Of course, nowadays you have what you call, yeah, what is it called? What is that test? DNA testing, yes. But that's material world. But spiritual knowledge, we take word of authority. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Any other question?
You said you had shared about the supreme and then the super supreme. I think after we gave the
Super soul.
super soul.
Yes. Yes, the difference. So Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the supreme personality of Godhead. He's the supreme Lord, and he expands himself as the super soul, Paramatma, within the heart to go in each one's heart, in the heart of all living entities, which means the birds, animals, insects, you just name it, all the living entities. So he's situated in the heart of all living entities. That is the super soul. Any other question?
Seema, you've been asking very good question. Why don't you ask one more?
I want to give others a chance. So I have a lot of questions. And that's why I'm getting distracted over there. So
Actually, Srila Prabhupada says, asking questions is a sign of intelligence.
that's ego.
No.
I can take it as ego.
No. There are two egos, false ego and real ego. False ego is, I think I am this body. And real ego is, I'm the spirit soul. Yes. So when we ask questions, then others also benefit, because others may have the same question, but they are shy to ask. So
in Srimad Bhagavatam, I remember when reading it, it talks about the cow with the 4 legs and they're eating it. So if you can explain that part, I think it's a very important part, but to become clear and even for the others who have not heard it, please, but I do.
Yes, so that is when okay. So she's asking about, this is when Parikshit Maharaj was the king, before he was cursed, he saw there are 4 ages, Satyayug, Tretayug, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. And Kali had come in the form of a man, and he was trying to, because Kali Yuga is considered to be the worst of all the ages of, Satya, Dwapar, Treta, Dwapar, but Kali Yuga is the worst. And he noticed that this man was hurting the cow. You were talking about the cow was hurting, beating, and trying to break the legs of the cow. And this is when Parikshit Maharaj realized that Kali Yuga is coming, because Dwapar was ending, Dwapar Yuga was ending, and Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga in the form of Kali was entering into the kingdom of Parikshit Maharaj, and he wanted to stop that. So this man, Kali, he told Parikshit Maharaj that you are a king and I am a subject, I am a citizen. So you need to give me protection. That's the duty of a king, to protect all the citizens. So you have to give me a place to stay. I need to stay, so you have to give me a place to stay. So then Parikshit Maharaj said, yes, you can stay in gold, gold ornaments in gold. You can stay in gold. You can stay in places where there is meat eating and there is liquor, prostitution and liquor. These are the 4 places you can stay. So this is how Kali Yuga started, and all these, you find
those 4 places.
gold.
Mhm.
Gold is, people get attracted. Yeah, greed. You get attracted to gold. You want, so gold. Then there is prostitution. There is liquor, and where there's meat eating, animal slaughter,
Ahimsa.
and yeah,
Violence.
violence, hinsa. Yeah, these are the places. So this is Parikshit Maharaj, being the ideal king, he tried to drive away, but this was the plan of Krishna, because Kali Yuga is the worst of all the 4 ages, and we find this a lot.
But the 4 legs of the cow represent dharma,
So
rightness.
yes, so there are
only
4.
One leg the cow was standing on.
Yes, so it is said that in Satya Yuga, or 4, these are legs of religion. These are 4 legs of religion. So in Satya Yuga, all 4 legs were there. And what are those 4? You call the legs? Yes, is mercy, honesty, austerity, and cleanliness. These are the 4 pillars of spiritual life. These are the 4 legs were there in Satya Yuga. But in Kali Yuga, only 1 was left. All other 3 were gone. And it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that 1 leg is honesty. That is left. That is left in Kali Yuga. Yes. Okay. Did you want to show something? Okay. Okay, so the katha is over, so we will meet again tomorrow. Thank you all who all have joined on Zoom.